The first truth that must be grasped is that imagination is the only reality. Look carefully at the life you are living now and you will see that every detail of it was once nothing more than a thought, a picture held within the mind, or a quiet assumption entertained when no one else was watching. The home you live in was once the imagination of an architect. The clothes you wear were once the vision of a designer. The device through which you listen or read these words was once the dream of an inventor, who refused to let go of an inner image until it was made visible in the world. Everything that surrounds you is evidence of imagination clothed in form. The physical world is not the cause but the effect. It is a shadow cast by your inward focus. When you take this seriously, you realize that the substance of life is not found in facts or circumstances, but in the imaginal act that precedes them. Most people make the mistake of treating the external world as the solid and final authority, but it is only a reflection. When you stare at a mirror, you do not try to change the reflection by scratching at the glass. You know that the reflection changes when you adjust what is standing before the mirror. In the same way, if you want your outer life to shift, you must adjust the imaginal picture you are entertaining within. Imagination is the true substance, and the outer world is only the echo. By accepting imagination as the only reality, you step into your rightful creative role. You cease to be a victim of circumstance and discover that every condition, every encounter, and every opportunity is drawn from the inner world of assumption. This realization is not an invitation to idle fantasy. It is not a license to simply daydream and hope something happens. Imagination, when used with feeling and conviction, is a law. The moment you assume that something is true, though unseen by the physical eye, the unseen world begins to weave itself around that assumption. Invisible threads of circumstance, chance meetings, and sudden insights gather themselves to confirm the imaginal act. You may call it coincidence, you may call it luck, but it is none other than imagination becoming fact. Life is compelled to take on the shape of the image you most persistently focus upon. Think of a seed placed into soil. The seed does not instantly reveal itself, but the invisible life within it begins to move toward expression. The gardener who understands this does not dig up the seed to check on its progress every day. He rests in the knowledge that the seed contains its own certainty of growth. So it is with imagination. Once you have impressed a picture upon the inner world, the unseen laws of life are set in motion. The outer world must, by its very nature, bend itself to bring forth that which you have already claimed within. When you realize that imagination is the only reality, you begin to honor every thought you allow to linger, because each thought carries within it the potential of becoming flesh. Now let us move to the second truth, which is that attention is creative power. To understand this, consider how a magnifying glass focuses the light of the sun. When sunlight is scattered, it warms gently, but when gathered into a single point, it ignites fire. Attention is that magnifying glass of the mind. Whatever you choose to attend to, you set ablaze with creative energy. If you continually attend to lack, to worry, to all that is missing, your focus generates conditions that match your inner state. The more you brood over fear, the more evidence of fear will show itself in your world. You may believe that the outer circumstances are causing your state, but in truth it is your state that is drawing forth the circumstances. Attention cannot be neutral. It is always creating, always attracting. The moment you give something your sustained focus, you invite it into your reality. If you focus on harmony, you draw into your world situations that confirm harmony. If you focus on abundance, the law of life arranges itself to bring you opportunities, ideas, and encounters that match abundance. The world is a faithful servant, reflecting with precision the contents of your attention. You cannot escape this law, whether you know it or not. You are creating every day by the things you allow your mind to dwell upon. Most people scatter their attention upon countless trivialities. They complain about what is wrong. They gossip about the misfortune of others. They replay memories of failure. And then they wonder why life continues to show them the same pattern. The truth is simple. They have become masters at focusing on the very things they do not want. The law does not discriminate. It does not decide for you what is good or bad. It simply brings forth in the outer world the substance of your dominant focus. To harness attention is to take hold of the steering wheel of life. You begin by noticing where your focus habitually rests. Do you dwell on fear of the future, or do you attend to the vision of your desired end? Do you allow your mind to be dragged by the noise of the world, or do you deliberately choose the inner conversation you will entertain? Each time you catch yourself wandering into states of worry or doubt, you have the chance to redirect attention toward the state you wish to experience. This is the practice that transforms destiny. There is a profound difference between fleeting thoughts and sustained attention. A passing thought is like a bird that flies overhead, leaving no trace. But sustained attention is like building a nest. When you brood over an idea, giving it your repeated focus and emotional weight, you incubate it until it hatches into form. This is why attention is the true creative power. It is not enough to merely think of a desire once. You must live with it inwardly until it becomes natural, until it feels like the most familiar state in a world. Then the outer world, obedient to your focus, will clothe itself in that form. Attention is not limited to the grand visions of life. It operates in the smallest details. If you attend to gratitude for simple things, more reasons for gratitude appear. If you attend to beauty, you discover beauty everywhere. If you attend to conflict, conflict multiplies. Life is an endless echo chamber of your focus. Nothing comes to you uninvited. It comes because, somewhere within, you gave it the dignity of attention. When these two truths are understood together, the picture becomes clear. Imagination is the only reality, and attention is the channel through which that reality is impressed upon the world. What you imagine with feeling becomes the seed. What you attend to with persistence becomes the soil that nurtures the seed. The outer world is simply the harvest. If you desire to change the harvest, you must plant new seeds and give your attention to them with unwavering faith. This is not theory, it is law. Those who have dared to test it find that life is not a random series of accidents, but a perfectly ordered unfolding of their inward focus. Asterisk, the third truth is that feeling is the secret of attraction. It is not enough to merely think of a desire or to repeat words without conviction. Thought may set the direction, but it is feeling that gives life to the imaginal act. You may picture yourself as prosperous, healthy, or loved, but if your inner atmosphere contradicts that picture with feelings of doubt or lack, then the image has no power. The creative force responds to the vibration of feeling, not the idle chatter of the mind. Feeling is the magnet that draws reality into form. Consider how you remember moments from your past. You do not recall them simply as cold facts but as living sensations. You remember the warmth of joy, the sting of pain, the thrill of achievement, or the heaviness of loss. Those feelings imprinted themselves deeply and continue to shape the assumptions you carry today. In the same way, when you imagine a new state with vivid feeling, you impress it upon the subconscious as though it were already lived. The subconscious accepts this impression as true and sets in motion the circumstances to give it expression. To feel it real means to step into the state of your wish fulfilled with all the senses of the inner man. It means you no longer stand outside your desire as someone who hopes it may arrive one day. Instead, you take up residence in it now. You speak from it, think from it, and most importantly, you feel from it. The unseen law takes this feeling as the fact and begins to align the outer world accordingly. Life does not respond to what you want, it responds to what you feel yourself to be. Asterisk, a man may say he wants wealth, but if he continues to feel poor, life will mirror that feeling. A woman may say she wants love, but if she continues to feel unwanted, life will confirm that state. The words are irrelevant if the feeling contradicts them. This is why many struggle with affirmations. They repeat phrases without entering the emotional state of the wish fulfilled. Words without feeling are like seeds scattered on stone. They cannot take root. But when you marry words with deep feeling, you plant them in fertile soil. The secret lies in cultivating the atmosphere within. You must allow yourself to dwell in the emotion of already having what you desire. Ask yourself how it would feel if this were already true. Would you feel relief, joy, confidence, or peace? Whatever the emotion may be, dwell in it as though it were your natural state. The body may sit in one place, but in imagination and feeling you can live in the end. As you persist in that feeling, the subconscious accepts it as fact, and the external world, which is only the shadow of the inner state, bends to match it. This law operates with exact precision. It does not make exceptions. If you feel fear, you attract conditions that justify fear. If you feel secure, you attract evidence of security. The feeling itself is the causative force. It is like a tuning fork. Strike it, and the surrounding world resonates with the same vibration. You cannot attract joy while dwelling in sadness, nor abundance while steeped in lack. You must rise to the feeling of your desire, and then the outer world cannot help but echo it. The practice of feeling is not about forcing emotion, but about gently training the mind to rest in the state you choose. At first it may feel unnatural, as though you are pretending, but just as a garment becomes more comfortable the longer you wear it, so does the feeling of your wish fulfilled become natural through repetition. Eventually, the assumed feeling becomes second nature, and it is at that moment the outer world begins to crystallize it into fact. The fourth truth is that you are always attracting, whether consciously or unconsciously. You cannot turn off this law any more than you can turn off the law of gravity. Even when you are unaware, your focus and your feelings are at work, drawing circumstances into your life. Every complaint, every worry, every inner conversation is planting seeds. Whether or not you intend it, those seeds grow. Life does not pause while you decide to become deliberate. It is always reflecting your inner state, moment by moment. This means that every person is already a master of attraction, though most are unaware of it. Look around at your life and you will see the evidence of what you have been inwardly entertaining. The patterns, the repeated experiences, the conditions you call fate are nothing more than the harvest of yesterday's feelings and focuses. You may think life is acting upon you, but in truth, you are the one acting upon life through the assumptions you carry. When you become conscious of this, a great responsibility dawns. You realize that you can no longer indulge in careless thinking. Every fear you rehearse, every resentment you nurse, every doubt you accept as a seed that will eventually bear fruit. You cannot plant thorns and expect roses. You cannot dwell on lack and expect abundance. The law does not discriminate. It faithfully reproduces the state you persist in, whether you desire it or not. This is why becoming aware of your unconscious patterns is so vital. Many people wonder why the same disappointments keep reappearing, not realizing that they themselves are keeping the pattern alive through constant attention. They replay the same inner stories of rejection, failure, or scarcity. They go to sleep in those feelings and wake up to a world that dutifully confirms them. The cycle continues until they decide to break it by deliberately choosing new inner states. To live consciously under this law is to become the deliberate author of your destiny. It means you no longer leave your inner world to drift wherever circumstance or habit may take it. Instead, you watch your feelings, you guard your inner conversations, and you continually redirect yourself toward the states you wish to experience. When a negative thought arises, you do not condemn yourself for it, but you choose not to dwell upon it. You shift attention back to the desired state, knowing that persistence is the key. At first, this may seem like constant effort, for the mind is accustomed to wandering, but over time, the discipline becomes natural. Just as a river, once redirected, carves a new channel, so your attention and feeling, once trained, establish new patterns. The outer world then reorganizes itself to reflect these new patterns. This is not achieved through force or struggle, but through gentle persistence in dwelling upon the chosen state. The marvel of this truth is that it places the power entirely within your hands. You do not need to wait for circumstances to change before you can feel differently. You change your inner state first, and circumstances follow. You do not need to fight against unwanted conditions, for fighting them only gives them more of your attention and therefore more life. Instead, you withdraw your attention from what you do not desire and lavish it upon what you do. By doing so, you starve the old state and feed the new one, until the new one alone stands as fact. This law explains why some seem to live in perpetual struggle, while others move from success to success. It is not a matter of luck or fortune, but of inner focus. Those who live in fear and doubt may never admit that they are the ones attracting such conditions, but life reflects them with unwavering accuracy. Those who cultivate feelings of confidence, gratitude, and joy find that life continually offers them reasons to confirm those states. You cannot escape attraction, for it operates whether you acknowledge it or not. The only choice you have is whether to attract unconsciously or consciously. To live from the end is to occupy the state of your fulfilled desire now, not in some distant tomorrow. Most people live toward their goals, constantly reaching and striving, always looking forward to the day when their wish might come true. Yet this very attitude declares to the subconscious that the wish is not yet here, and so it remains perpetually distant. The law of life responds not to effort but to assumption. When you live from the end, you enter the state of having already received, and from that inner conviction the world arranges itself to confirm what you inwardly accept as true. Think of an actor who steps onto the stage to play a role. He does not act as if he might one day become the character. He assumes the role in its fullness. He speaks from it, feels from it, and gives it the authority of reality. To the audience, it is as though the character truly lives. In the same way, when you live from the end, you embody the state you desire in imagination until it becomes so real that the world cannot help but reflect it. You cease asking when or how it will come. You rest in the certainty that it already is, for within you it is accomplished. This way of living requires a shift in how you view time. You are no longer waiting for the future to deliver something new. You are selecting from the infinite present, choosing the state you wish to occupy, and dwelling in it as though it were already fact. Every time you return to that state, you water it, and every time you persist, it grows more vivid. Eventually, it becomes your natural dwelling place, and the external world, which is only a shadow of your inner state, bends itself to align with what you have claimed. Living from the end is not about pretending. Pretending keeps you aware of the gap between what is and what you want. Living from the end is the bold decision to accept the unseen as real, to move through life as though you already possess the thing you desire. If you wish for health, you no longer identify yourself as sick trying to get well. You feel from the place of already being whole. If you wish for success, you no longer see yourself as someone struggling for opportunity. You feel from the place of already being established. This inner shift is the true creative act. Notice how this practice changes the way you speak to yourself and to others. Instead of dwelling on lack, you allow your inner conversations to reflect fulfillment. Instead of repeating stories of waiting or striving, you speak from the standpoint of already being. The subconscious, which does not question, accepts these inner conversations as facts, and the outer world simply mirrors back what has been planted within. To live from the end is to trust the law so fully that you no longer beg, you no longer chase, you no longer doubt. You stand in the finished state and allow life to echo it in perfect order. Now consider the power of silence in multiplying focus. Most people scatter their creative force through idle chatter, constant complaining, or endless explanations. They speak of what they fear, they repeat stories of limitation, and they broadcast their doubts to anyone who will listen. Every spoken word carries the imprint of an inner state, and by voicing it repeatedly they reinforce the very reality they do not wish to see. Silence, however, acts as a multiplier. It gathers the scattered fragments of focus and channels them inward, where they take root with far greater strength. When you keep your imaginal acts clothed in silence, you protect them from the doubts of others and from the weakening effect of constant repetition. The seed of your assumption does not need to be exposed to the opinions of the world. It needs the quiet soil of your inner life, where it can germinate without disturbance. Each time you hold your vision in silence, you give it room to grow undisturbed by contradiction. The world may appear unchanged, but in the silence of your own being the state is already alive and expanding. Silence also refines your inner conversations. Instead of filling the air with careless words, you begin to notice the dialogue within. Are you arguing against your desire? Or are you affirming it quietly in the depths of your mind? Are you imagining scenes of failure? Or are you rehearsing the joy of fulfillment? In silence, these questions become clear, and you discover the immense power of choosing your inner words with intention. What you say to yourself in silence shapes tomorrow's world more than anything you could shout aloud. This is why those who understand the law often appear calm and reserved. They are not swayed by appearances, nor do they feel the need to convince others. They have learned that the most potent creations are born in silence. They withdraw their attention from the noise of the world and commune with their vision inwardly. In doing so, they align themselves with the unseen currents that bring forth the manifestation. The silence of assumption is not empty. It is charged with creative power. Consider how a sculptor works in stillness, chiseling carefully until the hidden form emerges. In the same way, when you cultivate silence, you allow the perfect form of your desire to take shape within. The noise of the outer world fades and your focus sharpens. Each silent moment spent dwelling in the wish fulfilled deepens the impression upon the subconscious, until it becomes impossible for the outer world not to reflect it. There is a temptation to announce your desires, to seek validation from others, or to share every step of your inner journey. Yet this often disperses the energy that should be reserved for creation. When you speak prematurely, you invite questions, doubts, and counter-arguments that weaken your focus. By remaining silent, you preserve the sacredness of your vision. You treat it as something holy, something too precious to expose to casual talk. The fruit will reveal itself in time, and then no explanation will be necessary. Silence also teaches trust. When you no longer feel compelled to announce or justify your desire, you demonstrate your confidence in the unseen law. You no longer seek reassurance from the outside world. You rest in the certainty that what you have assumed within will be made visible. This quiet assurance is the soil in which your desire matures. Others may wonder at your composure, but you know that your silence is not emptiness. It is the powerful stillness of creation at work. As you live from the end and multiply your focus through silence, life itself begins to take on a different rhythm. You no longer chase after results, for you know that they must come. You no longer waste energy explaining or defending, for you know that the outer world cannot resist the inner conviction. You become steady, assured, and inwardly rich. Each silent assumption becomes a seed planted in the fertile ground of consciousness, and in due season, every seed brings forth after its kind.